Okay, I want to build the collider now. So use our standard collision source and plug that into our unpack here. So what the collision source does is calculate the velocity, which we don't need to do since we've already got the velocity on there. So turn that off. Okay, we'll leave this blend between frames on. That's handy for substeps. And then we've got a voxel size. I'm going to drop that down to 0.05. Let's just visualize that. There we go. So that looks, it's not super detailed, but we don't need it to be. That's accurate enough for our case here. Okay, so now we merge these back together and plug them into the second input of the pyro solver there. So that's volumes for collisions that you can see. Okay, so back in here, for the collisions, we don't need to do anything else. It's already, it's expecting the collision source. Okay. One thing we do want to do actually is give it a ground plane. So closed below 0. I'm going to drop the voxel size down to 0.05. Again, pushing this down, the lower this number, the more detail you're going to get. Unfortunately, pyro it does change. It's a bit like flip. The more resolution you give it, you're going to get a different result in your simulation. So there are some tips and tricks for kind of matching up a low resolution sim to a high res one. But it's just something to be aware of. Don't cut this in half and expect to get the exact same behavior with more detail in it. It's just the nature of the simulation, how it works. So let's see what else. Anything else we need to change? Oh, so if you remember, back in here, we used this time shift to slow down the simulation by 0.75. So we'll do the same thing in this simulation in the timescale. So if we set this to 0.75, we'll, slow the time down basically. Okay, you could add substeps if you like. We'll just do 2 substeps maybe. The more substeps, the more interesting, you kind of get these nice twirly details, stuff like that. So let's cache this out. I'm going to drop just our standard file cache and do the 100 frames. I think that's what we've got of the geometry of the explosion. 70 frames. Okay, let's just double check. Yeah, 70 frames. Even better, quicker. Okay, and we'll save this into the sim folder. Yeah, so let's say, in the nuke one. Do you have folders in here? No, I'll do a new folder. So nuke dust. Okay. $F4, $F3 for the frame, and it's a video. Oh, and just while I remember, in the exports here, we'll be saving out the temperature field as a volume, a smoke field, and a color field, and we don't really need any of them because they're not necessary for us. Just dust. You might want to do something with the color, but we're not going to do that today. So yeah, that's it. Let's save. Maybe reset the simulation and save it to disk.